Hey folks, it's us, podcasting wonderkins John Bishop and Lucas Southworth.
Although this is a podcast about cars, it is not age appropriate for the target demographic of these films, as we usually end up talking about the reproductive organs of Lightning McQueen.
Alright, now let's take a look under the hood. Hello, I'm Lucas Southworth,
And I'm John Bishop, and we are the Kachat.
the only podcast brave enough to ask the question, hey, what's up with cars?
Today's episode is episode 6. We will be discussing the topics of cryptids in the Cars universe, and also creatures.
Yeah, if it's, not a sentient being, we're probably going to talk about it.
Like birds, crabs, general cattle, and the like.
Yeah. Man, it's been a while since we've done this, huh?
Yeah, we're out of practice for our show that we never practiced for. So, in preparation for this episode, I was thinking about just general cryptids, and I realized that one of them that I've always liked was the chupacabra, also known as the goat sucker.
Chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
I got there as
The
quick as I could.
chupacabra. And interestingly enough, there is a very popular vehicle, I think the GTO, the Pontiac GTO, and its nickname is affectionately the goat. So, goat sucker, goat car. That's just gonna throw that out there. It's probably nothing.
But hey, we've got the audio recorded now, and we can make that decision later.
All right. So let's talk about Bigfoot, aka Bigwheel.
Because he doesn't have feet, you see. That's the logical leap we've made in this situation.
So Bigwheel. What's up with that?
Okay, so Bigfoot lives in a forest. So if we can assume, and we're going to assume with all these cryptids that they have carified versions, as we will talk about later, most animals that we see in the Cars universe do have some sort of mechanical counterpart. The beetles are literally VW beetles. They're like tiny little pigeons that are planes, etc., etc. So if we're assuming there is a Bigfoot, or a Bigwheel, I apologize, I guess he would, I don't know, live in a forest, be a big old car.
But one thing is, there are monster trucks in canon.
Yeah.
There are creatures with absurdly large wheel feet. So what's different about Bigwheel? Coated in fur isn't really a thing.
Oh, it could. Well, no, that wouldn't make any sense because there are other things that would be coated in fur.
Yeah.
I suppose the fact that a monster truck is hiding in the woods at all is impressive. Navigating the trees is not easy for him, I'm sure.
I mean, lots of theories about Bigfoot are essentially hairy, feral man in the woods, so that could work.
Yeah.
Whatever feral would mean for a car.
And I will point out, isn't there a very famous monster truck that's just called Bigfoot? I've looked it up. Yeah, it's like the most famous monster truck. He's got really big wheels, so maybe it's just that.
Okay. Maybe Bigfoot, for some reason, isn't exactly a cryptid in the Cars universe. He's just a welcomed member of society.
Yeah, so instead of imitating the car, or imitating the animal, he imitated the car version of himself. And whatever event made all of our world into all of their world.
Oh boy, this monster truck is beautiful.
Isn't it? Its wheels are very large.
So large. And it's just like a regular truck. aside from the insanely large wheels and all of the things underneath the truck that would have to attach it to that.
I just like to think about how if it is the Bigfoot monster truck and it is a cryptid out in the woods somewhere, that they haven't found this thing that's just giant and it can't just go through the trees. Like, the paths aren't big enough for it.
I mean, a lot of the reports of Bigfoot report him at being like 8 foot tall, and satellite imaging is a thing. I feel like the problem with Bigwheel is the same problem we have with Bigfoot. He shouldn't be that hard to catch.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm certainly not going to rule out the possibility of Bigfoot in our world because, I don't know, that's no fun, but it doesn't seem like he would be able to hide very well if he was literally a monster truck.
It would certainly be much harder. But then again, wouldn't everything be much harder in a world without hands?
Yeah, probably.
Which makes you think about the fact that these cars, we've talked about it before, they probably have to do like a lot of things, just basically just their brain will interact with whatever technology they have, and it's like a psychic connection, right?
Yeah,
Well, it's time for the fun fact of the day.
already.
Yes.
Getting into it.
Fun fact of the day, according to allthat'sinteresting.com, Bigfoot facts. Cherokee legend has it that Sewell Kalu had the power to read people's minds. Present-day witnesses have claimed to lose time after sighting the Bigfoot. Last little sentence of this. Bigfoot just makes people strip naked and go crazy. So, Bigfoot in our world is possibly psychic already. So
and a
there's
pervert, it sounds like.
a psychic, perverted, large, terrifying creature. So just mull that over.
Well, that makes it all work then, if he can erase people's memories.
Exactly. Maybe they found Bigwheel a lot of times, but then he made them strip naked, dance around for a bit, and just forget everything. Because why not? He's got psychic powers and he's a gigantic monster truck.
Yeah, maybe this isn't like some sort of animal. Maybe, like you were saying, it's just a member of society who doesn't like to be bothered and has terrible, terrible ESP powers.
Terrible, terrible, much stronger ESP powers than I'm assuming the regular population already has.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course.
Man, Bigwheel. Scarier than you might think.
So maybe just all of the cryptids are just normal people with psychic powers.
Are normal people with psychic powers who, for some reason, don't want to involve themselves with anyone else.
Yeah, so like maybe the Loch Ness monster is like a submarine that just hangs around, and when boats come bother it, it's like, go away. You don't remember I'm here, but only a little bit because I'm a legend now. So they would have to remember him a little bit.
That's the thing, though. The only reason we have any evidence of the Loch Ness Monster isn't because of people who have encountered the Loch Ness Monster and remember it. It's because of a photo or two showing the monster from a very far, somewhat blurry distance. Maybe in this world, the ESP's like a closeness sort of thing. Easier when you're hiding in the woods, not as easy when you're out in the open, so someone just snaps a picture of the Loch Ness Monster in both universes. Can't use your psychic powers if you don't see who's taking the picture.
Or yeah, maybe it's like not a passive thing. Maybe they have to focus to do it. So if they don't notice the person's there, then they can't erase their memory, which may be exactly what you just said.
It's something close.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it was all my idea, and
at least no some of that was your idea.
The podcast.
All right. If you're a fan and you have a Twitter, just go ahead and tweet us. Whose idea was that statement that I said first?
John doesn't have a Twitter.
I do. It's just I got like one person I'm following. It's Felicia Day, and it's because I want Felicia Day to realize that my wife looks like Felicia Day.
Yeah, okay, a little bit. I can see it.
There was one picture like from probably senior year that I like put them side by side and the difference is staggering. The wife, she looks a little different now. She's grown, she's matured. Felicia
You're,
Day has a very youthful appearance.
how old is she?
I want to say around 30.
Well,
I don't actually know.
I
We
just
could
Googled.
look this up, but probably impolite to say it on the podcast.
People have Google. She's 39.
She's 39?
Yeah,
Good for her.
right? Anyway, shout out
Fun.
to Felicia Day. Thanks
Felicia
for listening.
Day, if you're listening, you just tweet us. I'll try and get you a picture of my wife and see if you agree.
And if anyone has zoned out for the last 2 minutes of us talking about Felicia Day, that's going to be the end of that. We're back to cars now.
All right, so Loch Ness Submarine.
Yep. What do we got? Mothman. I've been struggling with Mothman since we decided to talk about cryptids.
Okay, so I'm not all that familiar with Mothman. I'm in fact more familiar with the Mothman that is currently in the Adventure Zone. So that tells you how much knowledge I have about Mothman. I know he like shows up just before tragedy is going to strike. He's got glowing red eyes or something.
Already you know more about Mothman than I do, because I had no idea. I only know he's a moth and a man, and that's it.
I think he's like West Virginia or something. He showed up before like some terrible tragedy happened with a bridge, I think.
I know he's definitely West Virginia.
West Virginia, yeah.
Maybe he could be like a helicopter, since I assume he can fly. God, you're really seeing the hard-hitting research that goes into this every week.
What if Mothman is just a VW Beetle again, but regular size?
Oh gosh, that's absolutely. Yeah, I think
got
that
those
could.
creepy little wings.
Yeah, I think he could just be a larger version of the VW Beetles that we see in Cars 1. Only he's not nice looking. He's very scary because he's supposed to be. I don't know.
Probably. He's a Mothman.
I
But
certainly.
then again, what is scary in this universe where someone's eyes are where we think their genitals should be?
That was scary. Mater was scared.
Good point. Good point. Oh, that's unfortunate. I hope that pleasant young eyeball salesman. I hope she's doing all right. I hope not everyone runs in terror. It's a really tragic thing to have included in their extra scenes.
I think it's not a deleted scene. It's in the movie because we talk about it in our Cars 2 podcast.
Wait, I thought it was a deleted scene from 2.
No, it's not a deleted scene. I have it here.
Oh no. I mean, it doesn't make sense for it to be a deleted scene because it's completely animated. Usually deleted scenes aren't completely done.
Gosh, we're going to talk about that in every single episode, huh?
I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't be embarrassed. That is just some body horror stuff right there.
Okay, so we got Mothman, Loch Ness Submarine, Bigwheel. I suppose he'd be Beetle Man, not Mothman, if we assume that he's one of the VW Beetles. What about the Yeti? He's basically, Bigfoot but snowy.
Bigfoot but snowy.
So
and he likes
monster truck with wheels with chains on them, so he can go up the mountain.
Yeah. What if he were a different kind of vehicle though? What if he's not a truck so much as he's a very large snowmobile?
Gosh, I don't think they could do a snowmobile. It doesn't have a face part on it. Wait, do they have headlights? They certainly don't have a windshield.
Looking it up.
Or they don't have enclosed. They may have a windshield, but not a place where we would say the squishy bit would go normally.
There are various kinds. For the most part, we do run into the reason why motorcycles aren't included in the Cars universe. Most of them are just singular vehicles with no interior. That's an interesting little thing to discuss. The difference between driving and riding is the difference between sentient vehicles and non-sentient vehicles in this universe, for the most part.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Besides boats and planes, but I think you could still call that.
I think
sailing
driving
and piloting are the equivalent of driving for those two things.
I think the difference between driving and riding is the presence of something between your legs. I
Yeah,
think
okay.
that's what I discovered a while back when I was wondering why you ride a motorcycle and you drive a car.
Huh. Fascinating stuff.
All right.
I
Okay,
think
so snowmobile. That's one individual and there's no interior, so it can't be a snowmobile unless we can find very specifically, and even better if it's super rare, a snowmobile that fits multiple people and has an interior.
you know I don't think we need to find it. I'm gonna say I think it's a snowmobile. I like it. It makes sense with the lore. It's got good flavor. It's a snowmobile.
Wait a minute. What are those things you ride in that like they can take you across great distances? Like it's like a ski lift, but
A
it does have
gondola?
yeah. What if what if the Yeti is a gondola?
A gondola that's like still on its tracks?
No, that's the thing about the Yeti. It's off the tracks somehow.
Well, we're already assuming most of these creatures are pretty well versed in psychic and the supernatural, so why can't he just be a free flying gondola that just floats a few inches off the ground at all times, I suppose?
I like it even better. The Yeti is that's it. It's official, a gondola.
Yeah, sure, why not? I dig it.
You know, have we talked about like amusement park rides?
Not that I can remember.
What what are amusement park rides? 'Cause like a lot of those are enclosed things. Like a Ferris wheel. Would that just be like a whole lot of like I guess what's the term? Conjoined like double double decouplets?
I mean, maybe they went to London in Cars 2, so maybe they had a shot of the London Eye. Let's see here. Yeah, they have a shot of it. I can't tell if it's a car.
Okay,
Uh,
we know that they are comfortable riding inside of each other. We
uh-huh.
know this from several examples. So, like, the London Eye could be a bunch of conjoined siblings that people just ride in for fun, right? That's
I mean,
not
I hope not.
that's not the most terrible thing we've discussed. A bunch of conjoined siblings who can't ever go anywhere except for in a circle and are at the whim of people who just want to have a nice time and probably be romantic inside of them. That's so much worse. Oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah, it got real bad right at the end there, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
So that's
I'm
a lot
looking
scarier than most cryptids.
I'm looking at a poster of Cars 2, and there is the London Eye. I'm not seeing, eyes on them, but maybe the whole thing is just one thing, one giant creature that is not,
But it would
30
have
different
so
sentient
many
souls.
faces.
Maybe just has one big face and a lot of compartments.
It would have at least so many eyes.
Or maybe it's just one big eye, the
Maybe
London
the
Eye.
whole thing is the eye.
Yeah, maybe it's just on the other side of this, other side of it, and we can't see it. There's a cryptid for you. A big ol'
That's
eye in London.
a gigantic eye.
Not much
Oh,
of a cryptid. People is a tourist destination, but it's sort of the
very
opposite
true.
of a cryptid when it comes down to it.
All right, so we've gotten really off topic for cryptids. That is fine. Still very scary creature to conceive, though, so that's good. What about
I
like a giant sea squid? Because like there's submarines, but submarines don't have 8 terrifying tentacles
Yeah, but like
or
the
10.
the cars are humans and they don't have, two legs. And
They got 2 wheels and then 2 wheels in the front, so that's legs and arms. Is there like a an 8-wheeled creature roaming the seas? Because we know cars can survive underwater as long as they're super secret agents.
that could be interesting. I could dig that. Just a semi truck that has gotten underwater somehow. And
Or a tank.
why a tank?
I don't know, but I like it. It's like the terror of the sea. It shoots things down, shoots ships down because he's an angry old tank.
It could be like the Kraken. What about? I want to.
Dracarla. What about vampires and werewolves?
I will say in Disneyland for their Cars Land, which is their little area of Disneyland. They don't call it Radiator Springs, although it is a replica of Radiator Springs. They call it Cars Land. They did a bunch of redecorating for Halloween, and they changed the mater out for one who was either just a vampire or in a vampire Halloween costume. So the concept of vampires definitely exists in the Cars universe.
Vampire mater is definitely a thing. So, so Dracula almost certainly exists because this does seem to look like a stereotypical Dracula rather than vampire costume, even though most vampire costumes are just Dracula costumes.
Sure.
He's got the beautiful purple popped collar, the beautiful widow's peak that all handsome people have.
I don't know that that's true, but we'll
How
move
dare
on.
you? I once got a haircut and someone looked at my widow's peak and said, "So how long has your hairline been receding?" And I was just so hurt and so confused as to why anyone would ever think that was an okay question to ask.
Yeah, that's not great.
I've had it since I was a child.
If we're going off of monsters, I think Frankenstein's monster is a really easy one for them to do in Cars.
Oh yeah,
Because
he's just a bunch of different car parts.
yeah, they do that. They replace car parts all the time. He
Except
made.
these just don't fit together.
Oh yeah, that'd be sad.
Oh yeah.
And I said that was sad as if, the original Frankenstein wasn't supposed to be a tragedy of science gone too far and wrong.
Oh, this is so beautiful. Okay, so that Felicia Day thing, we're coming back to it because years
Yes.
ago I said it. I said it and I was confident and I was like, everyone has to see this. And then like half the people I showed were like, oh yeah, they look alike. And then another half are like, I don't know who Felicia Day is. Or not at all right. They don't look anything alike. And I talked about it today for the first time in so long on this podcast, sharing with you, the audience. And I get a message just now from my wife saying the cashier just told me I look like Felicia Day.
That's a sign.
This is just perfect. Felicia Day's gonna hear this episode.
Yep, she's listening right now. I know you are, Felicia. Just tweet us out. That would be really cool of you. All right, that was our second shout out to Felicia Day for those keeping score at home. We're gonna shoot for a third by the end of the episode, but
Absolutely.
no promises.
All right. So, tiny pigeon planes,
Sure.
VW Beetles,
Uh-huh.
and you mentioned crabs, I believe?
Yeah, there's a weird little bit in Cars 3. They're training Lightning McQueen, and Cruz Ramirez is training him on the beach. And there's one little bit where Cruz is riding along beside him, and she stops really quick. And Lightning's like, "What happened? We were doing so good." And she goes, "Oh, there was a little crab. I didn't wanna run over him." But we never see the crab, so we don't have any idea what it looks like. I assume because the people at Pixar probably tried for a while to think like, "Oh God, what are we gonna make this crab look like? What car are we gonna make this stupid crab that we wrote into our car movie?" But then they just decided not to show it to the audience, leave it up to imagination.
I feel like they knew exactly what car or vehicle they would have turned it into, and it was going to be the one that they overuse so much. It's the little forklifts. You know, the creatures that the car or vehicle that is used for every single working class individual that I can think of in the Cars universe, because they're the only vehicles that I can think of that have like something close to hands. So those would have been their pinchers.
Yeah, I could see that. If you don't know what car John's talking about, you may think of Guido, the pit stop car who works at the tire shop and goes pit stop a lot. Okay, so we've got just random wildlife out in the world, and then we also have farm animals. We have confirmed
There was tractor tipping in something.
Yeah, the tractors are very, very overtly cows. Like
Hmm.
they don't speak. They are not sentient. They graze around. And I just thought of this. In a lot of them, the scenes they're in, they're doing a chewing bit. So I guess they eat grass.
Diesel? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe the tractors just eat grass. Because like, what would they need to chew? They definitely chew. I am almost certain of it.
I'm confident they do as well.
But
How do
anyway,
you how do you milk a tractor, Lucas? Lucas, how do you milk a tractor?
I guess you just open up its like oil drip and then you got that.
But
Maybe that's why they're not having to deal with
but that
diminishing
would be
fossil fuel supplies. No, that's a plot point in Cards too. Never mind.
that would be pee. That's like if you're leaking oil, you're peeing. That's why Mater's so embarrassed when someone claims that he's leaking oil because he doesn't want to have peed himself in front of an audience, and why it was mean of his best friend not to assume that it wasn't him.
Yeah, okay.
So
So
it can't be oil.
maybe it's okay, there are so many fluids in a car or vehicle.
Wiper fluid would be tears.
Gasoline?
That's just food.
Yeah, and so's milk.
Are we saying tractors produce gasoline?
I mean, maybe they somehow turn the grass into fuel like ethanol.
But then, but what?
I don't know, man.
I
Maybe
don't
that's
know.
where the supposedly green fuel comes from in Cars 2. They harvest it from tractors.
This is all extremely interesting, but my real question is like, how do you milk it?
See,
'Cause
I'm
first
less
problem, no udders. Second problem, no hands.
I don't have an answer for you, but I'm less stuck on that and more stuck on they eat the tractors, right?
I mean,
Do they eat the tractors, John? Why would they keep them in a pen? Other they may milk them. You're right, but like we eat a lot of cows. Do they eat the tractors?
I think they eat the tractors. There's a little restaurant in Cars 2, and it's a sushi restaurant, and it's got this beautiful like billboard type thing, and it's got a picture of a car eating what is supposed to be sushi, but instead, in between those chopsticks is just a bolt.
What nutrients do they receive from that?
That's not a bolt, that's a nut. They it's a nut, which makes the context of what that might be even worse. That might be an actual nut.
Well, I don't know about that.
You're
We've
right, it's not headlights.
Yeah, we've already claimed something as a testicle. But why? What do they gain by eating the tractors? Do they just enjoy it?
Okay, you are what you eat. Humans eat the things that their bodies are composed of. So, assuming that the cars are biologically metal and not just slugs inside of a metal suit, then they would need to eat metal in order to grow and to exist and have metal bodies. I mean, even human beings eat tiny amounts of metals. You gotta have some iron in your diet and whatnot. So, like, I imagine a car would just have to eat a lot of metal.
Gosh,
Metal is their protein, I guess.
I don't enjoy that. I don't
And
enjoy that at all.
you gotta have protein somehow. I don't think there's enough metal in, like, casual fruits and vegetables. Just a moment.
No, there's iron in vegetables.
Just a moment.
Hi, Lizzie.
Lucas says hi.
You're on the air.
Can you hear her?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Try and convince me to edit that
Hello,
out,
Lucas.
sucker. You're a sucker. You're gonna be on the podcast now.
She can't hear you.
Well, I don't care.
He's daring you to try and get him to not have that be in the podcast.
Goodbye.
You can be heard
You're
by
gonna be a
all the world.
superstar.
You're a star.
This is
We
your
were
big break.
talking. Yeah, he said he was daring you to convince him to edit it. You're gonna be in it.
You want Faith to be in it too?
Faith's there?
Faith, say something about car.
Car? Love car.
Woo!
Kachoo.
Cuckoo,
Yeah,
cuckoo.
man. I know they can't hear me, but I feel weird just listening to this.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? Iron and vegetables?
Yeah, there certainly is like an amount in vegetables, but
Like
there
dried
isn't gonna
fruit.
be enough.
Dried fruit and spinach are really good sources of iron. I know this because my Liz needs that stuff.
Yeah. I occasionally have taken iron tablets just because, like, I've had the symptoms of being iron deficient. I'm not sure why. It may have been when I was playing football still and did bleed a bit. But yeah, I've had to take iron supplements just because vegetables weren't enough metal for me, a non-car.
That's okay. I see what you're getting at. I thought you were just implying there wasn't enough iron in. I forgot the concept of the podcast is what we talk about sentient cars.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
I'm back. I'm here.
if Mater were to eat a carrot, that's not enough iron. That's not enough steel or nth metal, whatever he's made of.
Although I would kickstart a video of official Pixar video of Mater just eating a carrot. I would pledge a good amount of money just to, and especially if it came with a tag that says this is canon.
If it says this is canon, you can thank at the Kachat.
Gosh, I'm gonna write a letter when we finish this.
You know, this could be our McElroy brother attempt to get into the next Cars universe film.
We could be in Cars 4 and or Planes 3 and or boats and or trains.
That's the dream. All right, we got to do what they did and just claim one of them. Do we want Cars 4 or do we want Planes 3? I feel like Cars 4 is more likely to happen.
Cars 4, the concept is Lightning and Mater aren't in it. No one's in it that's been in it. They're two cars.
Concept. John and Lucas, the type of car insert here.
You are on my wavelength. Keep going. Keep going.
We're two upstart podcasters.
Yes.
And we're talking about the best new movie, Humans. And then it just explores our daily lives, and somehow we become famous racers.
Hey, someone start a petition. We can't do it. That would look bad. You got to do it for us.
It would look some kind of bad. Start a petition, and we've already written it for you, so you're welcome.
Yeah, it's all there. What more do you want? A storyboard? Someone draw that. Fan art.
You want more strong characters? They're in there somewhere.
We're the producers here.
Oh yeah, we're definitely bankrolling this with all of our Kachat money.
So we talked about they definitely eat tractors. I'm gonna assume there are other farm animal type animals. What I am interested in, what made me so jazzed about this topic, is there's a little bit in Cars 3. They're at a bar watching the final climactic race. Cruz is doing great. Sorry, that's a bit of a spoiler.
I still haven't seen Cars 3, in case you're wondering, our wonderful audience.
They're at the bar watching the race with some friends they've made along the way, and in the not even the background, in the foreground on a pole in the bar are a pair of bike handlebars mounted as if they are deer antlers.
Which means that not only is eating vehicles a thing, but so is, like, trophy hunting, which means that hunting for sport is almost also certainly a thing, and also bike?
Yeah, almost. Like, we are going to come back to the fact that these creatures hunt for sport, but there are bikes this whole time?
It's bike season, apparently, at some point.
So bikes exist. They are, well, gosh, saying the phrase bikes exist uh, out of context
So
makes me sound a little crazy, but
they eat vehicles.
yeah.
And we don't eat the horns of a deer for a specific reason.
They're not edible.
Stop me if I'm wrong. But
they wouldn't be fun to edible.
Why would handlebars not be edible if the rest of the bike is?
Maybe they have like the rubber grips on them and they don't eat rubber. Like they don't eat, if they eat the tractors, they don't eat their wheels, you know?
Sure, like hooves, you don't eat the hoof.
Yeah.
I mean, also you don't want to eat the face, so the rest of the handlebars could be the face, I guess. But where would the eyes be? That was just normal bike handles.
Are all bikes? I'm pulling up the image right now so I can reference it. I want to see if there's like a headlamp on it. No, there is a no, those are brakes, never mind. There's no bell and there's no like headlamp, so that's where my immediate thought would be.
Wait a minute. If there's a bell, does that mean someone just found an animal and gave it a body modification for the fun of it?
No, there is no bell. Sorry, I was wrong about that.
No, but what if there was?
Yeah.
That's what that would mean. It would mean someone just found a deer, wrestled it to the ground, and grafted something onto its skull to be cute.
You know, John, I hate to say it, but I think there are people in our world who would do that to a deer. There are probably, sadly enough, people in this world who have already done that to a deer.
I wish I didn't believe you wholeheartedly. Oh, that's real sad.
Speaking of sad, do you have a fact? I don't know.
Time for a very not fun fact. Good transition. This one comes from ourworld.unu.edu.
Gosh, you are getting in there on those sources.
All right. According to this website, emissions from livestock, largely from burping cows and sheep and their manure, currently make up almost 15% of global emissions. Beef and dairy alone make up 65% of all livestock emissions. I read that directly from their site. That is scary and a good reason to become a vegetarian.
Yeah, that
good
is
reason to eat local, at least.
Okay. Bikes exist. Still not completely over that.
Bikes exist and
they're
are
not even
for sport.
They're a vehicle, but they don't have an engine. They're not mechanical.
Yep.
So are they just possessed to crank their own pedals? How do they move?
Okay, so someone along the lines of the creation of cars did say, and I'm confident we've said this before, that essentially like the cars have like the soul or personality of the people that drove them before the whole thing happened. I can't say whether or not that's canon, but that means just some kid's bike had that kid's soul in it and they hunted it for sport. That was a much darker thought than I was going for.
Yeah, I got real dark right at the end, Johnny.
Okay, alternative. Some kid lost their bike in the woods and some deer, like, hung out with that bike for a bit before it died and its soul went into that bike.
And then we hunted it for sport.
Oh no, that means that deers definitely do have souls and people who eat deer are, oh no.
Okay. So deer are bicycles, I guess. Or
Then
some antlered creature is a bicycle.
All right, so we've talked about livestock, we've talked about just deer being hunted for sport, we've talked about birds, we've talked about beetles. Now let's talk about pets.
Ooh, you know, I didn't even think about pets, John.
What's a dog?
Oh, gosh. A Roomba.
Oh, that is perfect.
You just got it in one.
Oh no, what if Roombas are rats?
Ooh, that would also be good.
My house is infested with Roombas.
You know, I like that a lot better. Yeah.
New York City is just overrun with Roombas.
That's much better. You got me there. What if they're little like RC cars?
Oh, that's also really good.
Yeah, I like pets being just little RC vehicles.
Oh, and like you can have like the toy monster trucks that are like for 12 and up. You can have like RC plane. Oh, that's so good.
It fits all of them. I got there. There are RC boats for fish. I think there are submarines for, fish that live underwater, like most of them.
Yeah, they're just little toy cars. You got dog, it's a little RC car. You got cat, it's little RC
It's a little RC car.
car. I don't know. There's the Chihuahuas. They're smaller than some cats.
They're just different kinds of cars. I don't know.
I don't know. They got to be like more agile. So I don't know. And they gotta hate Roombas.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Well, cats hate Roombas anyway.
Vacuum cleaners.
Go on. You just said vacuum cleaners.
Would an RC car dog be afraid of a vacuum cleaner if the vacuum cleaner were sentient?
I gotta say yes. They still make big spook noises.
Big spook noises. Okay. What about like huge dogs though?
Those cars that like kids like can actually like get in and drive around, but they're tiny.
Yeah.
Those.
Nice.
That's a big dog.
My nephew got one of those for his last birthday party. Wait a minute. Horses, motorcycles.
Absolutely. I was thinking that earlier. They're absolutely motorcycles.
Beautiful.
John, I think it may be time for a question from Liz.
All right. That sounds good to me.
I will read it.
It's a question from one of the Liz's. I want you to guess which Liz it is. Hit us up on that Twitter.
Since you internet strangers know the subtle differences in personalities between our two significant others. Anyway, this question from Liz is if there are animals, and animals in our world are usually superior in some way to us, like cheetahs can run so much faster than us, and there are animals that are so much stronger than us. Are the Cars universe animals also superior to the Cars? Like Lightning McQueen already
My initial
goes.
assessment is a bike gonna be able to outrun a hunter who is a car?
Certainly, I wouldn't think so.
Is a motorcycle typically gonna have more horsepower than a race car?
Yeah, like Lightning McQueen already goes 200 miles an hour. I don't think there's gonna be some other supercharged, not sentient car that's going 400 out there somewhere in the savannah.
I mean, here's the thing. Fastest people on Earth can run a very, very short amount of time at like close to 30 miles per hour. Whereas a cheetah, I'm pretty sure, can go 60. So 400 to the 200, that's not an exaggeration at all. And just imagine those races.
Also, can you imagine just like a cheetah car hunting down whatever like wildebeest car that we're not going to come up with?
Some sort of tricycle.
Sure. And it just is going 400 miles an hour and just rams into it at full speed, and that's how it hunts.
And survives.
Gosh, planet Earth would be wild in this universe.
Nature documentaries would be amazing.
I would pay top dollar to watch any sort of hunting scene where both parties are mechanical vehicles.
Like, you got just the most souped up motorcycle that is representing like a tiger, and it's hunting like a buffalo. So like, I don't know, some sort of like, I don't know, I can't think of, man, it's real hard to think of vehicles that wouldn't be sentient.
Yeah, most of them are sentient, huh?
Yeah.
But like, they don't have to be different, because like, I'm pretty sure there are VW Beetles that are normal sized and not, they are sentient, and then there are little versions of them that aren't, and then the pigeon planes don't look different from normal planes, they're just small. So maybe they're just different sizes of cars that, like, there can be a race car that is just a cheetah, and maybe the wildebeest is an SUV or something. They're just different proportioned.
Oh boy. So So you know how sometimes in the real world there are boxing matches between like a comedian and a bear?
John, I can't say I knew that.
Well, that sometimes happens, unfortunate as it may be.
I don't believe you, but continue with your premise.
I gotta think of his name. All right, I think it's Bert Kreischer.
Sure.
He's got a bit about how he was supposed to be in like a publicity stunt bear fight, and the bear just like sat on him. But like, what? Okay, so like, imagine a fight between a car and any animal that is supposed to be somewhat humanoid compared to like humanoid as in there's humanoid on this planet. There's humans. There's like apes and whatnot that are similar.
Sure.
What if there are cars that are just less evolved and like a car in this case wanted to fight one of them for some publicity? What would that vehicle first look like and be able to do?
I mean, we mentioned tanks earlier, and I think a tank would be a good comparison if we're talking pure, like, better at fighting than humans.
It's certainly stronger. Man, the difference between human strength and monkey strength is insane. So, like, it'd be just a car with just so much more power behind it, but also not sentient for some reason. That's spooky.
Yeah, it seems like whoever is the car god in this universe just sort of randomly doles out who is going to be sentient and who isn't.
And for some reason shows that most vehicles shall be sentient, but only certain vehicles shall do the labor, because only certain vehicles have what I can only describe as the closest thing to hands. Man, this universe is just unfair.
Sure is.
So we're pretty sure they make food, right? But I've looked at the food that I've seen them consume, and I haven't found an example of anything that I could assume was actually meat. So, any fam, please let us know if you find any examples of them eating. Well, send us any example of them eating anything except for the wasabi. We know about the wasabi, and we'll just look into it, see if any of that's meat or car meat, I guess.
We know they have to eat. We know because Mater eats, and they have to eat more than that. We gotta find it.
We have to find it, and you can help us because the internet is a powerful collective.
Yeah.
All right, and this is probably the last thing we're going to talk about. So here is the section where corrections will go, if we have any. And if you're hearing this and there are no corrections, that just means we're perfect. So thank you very much.
Sorry about it, but I'm not sorry about it.
All right, time to wrap up. Please, whatever this is on, whatever you're listening to this on, if this is YouTube or whatnot, please rate, comment, like, subscribe, whatever. Please feel free to email us at
thekachat, all one word, @gmail.com.
All right, and our Twitter at thekachat.
Yes, again, all one word.
Nice.
Don't put any dashes or anything like that, because then you'll find all of the parody Twitters that I'm sure have popped up.
Of our extremely just super popular podcast about cars. Two adults talking about a children's movie as if it's supposed to be. I don't know. I'm John Bishop.
And I'm Lucas Southworth.
And we're signing off. See you next time.
We have a sign-off, John.
I forgot what it is. Remember to float like a beamer? I thought you were going to
Cadillac. Float like a Cadillac, sting like a beaver. That's why I did not.
Float like a bee and sting like a butterfly.
You want to just start that whole bit over there, bud?
All right. I'm John Bishop, and remember to. No, dang it! One more time. One more again. I'm John Bishop.
And I'm Lucas Southworth.
Remember to float like a Cadillac.
And sting like a beamer. Oh wait, I gotta actually physically stop the recording.
Robots army.